Baseball isn't just numbers, numbers, numbers.
This game is not being played on computers.
You don't do that with a bunch of statistical gimmicks.
You don't put a team together with a computer.
We're talking weighted runs created plus,
expected WOBA,
his sweet spot rate,
defensive runs above average,
average exit velocity,
barrel rate,
xFIP,
BABIP,
SIERA.
We are above replacement radio. And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, it is a bittersweet show today on Above Replacement Radio. We are recapping the end of the postseason. We are recapping the end of the 2025 Major League Baseball season. But we are talking about some of the best baseball games I think that we've ever seen. There were two games in this World Series that I will remember long term. One of them was of course, last game played in this season. One of them was the first game that was played. Actually, I should say first two games that were played, but after the last time we recorded. But we have I guess we have a new champion. I mean, do we really have a new one? We have the same one.
Right. Yeah, we have. For the first time in 25 years, we don't have a new champion.
That is true.
Yeah, first time ever, and it might cause irreparable damage to the sport. But we'll get to that this time next year. But yeah, so yeah, the Dodgers are World Series champions. I believe we both correctly predicted this before the season started. I think we both had the Dodgers winning, so good on us. Not that it's a big flex or anything, because they were the best team in baseball coming in.
I correctly predicted Dodgers in 7 going into this World Series. I incorrectly predicted that Ohtani would pitch in relief in Game 7. He pitched as the starter.
Right, correct.
So there was that. But I did have Dodgers in 7 before the series started.
Yes, and you were correct that it would be in dramatic fashion in a way.
Oh, I mean, was it?
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
That was an incredible game. This was it's so interesting, man, because I mean, the beauty of a 7-game baseball series is you don't have to be the better team during those 7 games. The Blue Jays were the better team in the series, objectively speaking. They had better offensive numbers. They had better pitching numbers. They they struck out less. They hit for more power. They hit better with runners in scoring position, and yet they end up on the wrong side of this one. And that's kind of the beauty of the sport, is that it's whoever makes the most of the moments. And the Dodgers did that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you asked me before this series, if you told me before this series started that one team would outplay the other but not win, I would think that the Dodgers would outplay the Blue Jays, not win. But it seemed to be the opposite. Yeah, the Blue Jays outscored the Dodgers 34-26 in this series. So not only did they outscore them, but probably by a decent margin as well. And yeah, they just had, they continued their offensive dominance in this series. But yeah, unfortunately for them, the Dodgers came through in those high pressure situations more and came through and won the close games and ultimately won, with the last two won those that the Blue Jays could have clinched the World Series in. But yeah, I mean, what were kind of the main what was kind of the gut reaction after this series ended?
Yeah, I mean, I think the gut reaction, it definitely took a long time to settle in, because going into that Alejandro Kirk at bat, of course I had it in my head that, he could, one swing could end the series on either side right here. Kirk could hit into a double play. He could shoot a ball into the gap and win it for the Blue Jays. All he needed to do was lift the ball enough to tie the game. And I don't know, it didn't really sink in that that was it until maybe 30 seconds after the play was made, that was it. That was how the series ended. Because it felt like the momentum was going the Blue Jays' way for most of that game. The exception, of course, being the ending and then the Miguel Rojas game tying home run in the ninth. Even when Will Smith hit the home run in the 11th, there was still a large part of me that felt like the Blue Jays were going to come back. And, the inning started with a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. double down the line. So, yeah, it did feel like, up until the very end, it felt like that game was at least going to get extended into the 12th. So that was my immediate gut reaction was shock that it ended that way.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Because yeah, even when they allow the home run to Miguel Rojas, they come in the bottom of the ninth, they load the bases with one out. I mean, it looked
Mhm.
like for sure that they were going to win it right then and there. And there's the IKF blunder sort of that people
Yeah.
found out about later, and then the crazy fly ball that where Enrique Hernandez got jacked up by
Yeah, he got
Andy.
posterized. He got mossed.
Yeah, by his teammate Andy Pajes to keep the game going. But yeah, I think my gut reaction was what a it unfortunately was what a horrible way to lose a World Series. What a horrible experience that fan base had to endure. I think for many reasons. First of all, obviously, they had a lot of chances. They were pretty much in control of the game from like the third inning on. And we're obviously 2 outs away. And had their chances to with runners in scoring position in the ninth and beyond that. And unfortunately did not take advantage. And then also, I feel like this is the best chance the Blue Jays are going to have
Oh,
for a good chunk of time. So
I mean, it's hard to say you're going to get a better chance when you were literally 2 outs away. Like it
yeah,
doesn't get much better than that.
right, right.
And again, it was Miguel Rojas. Like, if you had to handpick a guy that ties the game in the ninth, it was 8-9-1 coming into that inning. So of course you're thinking, all right, it's Ohtani down to his final out, and he does it. That's not what happened. It was Miguel Rojas on a 3-2 slider that hung in the zone from Jeff Hoffman, who had a home run problem during the regular season, had been great in the postseason. That was the first home run he had given up in October, and it had to come at the worst time you could have imagined.
Yeah, and yeah, what ended up looking foolishly uh when Rojas came up, I was watching with a group of people and I'm like, wow, the Dodgers aren't going to pinch hit him here. And
I thought the same thing.
I
Yeah,
didn't have like extensive knowledge. I wasn't thinking immediately of who was on the Dodgers bench and maybe it was the right decision,
well,
um
clearly.
but yeah, my instincts were like, he's the number 9 hitter. It's the last inning, so you're not really worried about your defense right now. Um, like let's put another hitter in. And to be fair, Miguel Rojas had a 594 OPS against right-handed pitchers this year and had one home run in 182 plate appearances. So of course, I think that's what we're thinking of when we're thinking of Miguel Rojas. He's not a power threat against right-handed hitters, or against right-handed pitchers, but lo and behold, in a game of chance, he wins and takes it over the fence in what was extremely shocking for everybody that was watching. But yeah, I mean that's one of the greatest moments in recent baseball history or just baseball history in general. And yeah, the game kept getting even better from then on.
I mean, like Rojas had hit a double earlier in that game seven, and it was his first hit in a calendar month. The
Yeah.
last time he had gotten a base hit was on October 1st, game two of the wild card round versus the Reds. He had been 0 for 8. Not that he had gotten a lot of chances, obviously, uh, but like he was in there for a reason. Like it's crazy that like if you really want to go down the the what's it called like the domino effect, I guess. Like Andy Pajes struggling as much as he did offensively to the point where he was out of the everyday lineup, making room for Miguel Rojas. Like that's what makes the difference there. Like Andy Pajes had like 4 hits in the series before he got taken out, or in the postseason before he got taken out. If he had been like, I don't know, if he had had like 10 hits, even if they were relatively meaningless, if he stacked them in the otherwise meaningless NLCS, he's probably in there in that late situation. Instead, he's a defensive replacement in center field, and he's there to make that catch.
Yeah,
Which,
100%. like Andy Pages, meanwhile, had 24 home runs against right-handed pitchers this year,
Right.
with a 774 OPS. Obviously, he didn't translate that into the postseason, and that's why he was, not in that situation. But yeah, as you correctly identify, yeah, it's crazy the domino or butterfly effect
Butterfly effect. That's what I was
that,
looking for.
that you want to have. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, just in terms of that was one of the most like shocked I've been as a baseball fan, just because of how the magnitude of the moment.
I mean, Joe Davis literally said no way in his call.
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
how
And
many?
and that guy watches the Dodgers all the time,
Yeah,
obviously.
exactly. Like that guy knows how ridiculous it is that Miguel Rojas just hit a home run in a big spot.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, with as it is, as we are the show above replacement radio, we there are statistical ways to analyze how crazy a game is, and
Mhm.
you put down there were 9 plays that swung the win probability by 15 plus points, which
Yeah, I'll pull
that's
them up.
that's quite a bit. I'm sure a lot of that happened in the later innings.
Most of it did. The only one that didn't happen in the ninth inning or later was the third inning 3-run home run from Bo Bichette.
Yeah, yeah,
And from there, it's the uh, in no particular order, like I said, it's the Rojas home run, it's the Varsho ground, the force out at home plate to make it 2 outs. And then it's the Clement fly ball that is caught by Pajes, over Kike's head. And then it's the top 10, top of the 10th inning, rather. The what was it that Kike Hernandez play that was challenged? What was the? I'm trying to remember this play. What was the? I know what the play was. It was the one where Vlad made the diving catch. I believe, right?
um,
There was also the Pajes hit that was a force out at home. I believe that one was to Andres Jimenez. Yeah, there was that one. There was the Kike one that ended the inning. And then there was the all the 11th inning stuff, the Will Smith home run, the Vlad double, and then of course a big one, the 44.7% win probability swing, and more importantly, the what was the 46.24% championship win probability added Alejandro Kirk double play, the fourth highest championship win probability added play of all time, the highest ever for an out. Uh, yeah, like just to give you an idea of how insane this game was. There were 3 plays that rank in the top 12 all time of championship win probability added.
yeah, yeah,
Like
all in.
maybe up there with the greatest game sevens ever played.
Yeah, yeah, all in one game. There's been 100. I think there's been 121 or 122 World Series at this point. Or yeah, I think 121. So yeah, a long history of postseasons, and a quarter of the top 12 came in this one specific game that we had the pleasure of watching. And a lot of the world watched. Not that this is something I really want to get into, but ratings were really wonderful
Get
on
into
this
it.
one. I think it was the
51
most.
million.
Yeah, 51 million. I think even just American audience, it was the most watched game in 8 years or something like that. Uh,
Overall, globally, it was the most watched game since Game 7 of the 1991 World Series.
yeah,
Also, one of the greatest Game 7s ever played.
right, right. Which is kind of, not super big markets there. I guess,
No, well, I mean, Atlanta probably was at the time because they had lots of the TV. This was the Turner era.
yeah, it
But
was
like
kind of the beginning of
Minnesota,
that.
yeah,
Right, right. Yeah, Minnesota.
no,
Um,
it was awesome.
yeah, it was absolutely nail-biting stuff. Great to watch as a neutral fan
Oh my
for
God, yeah.
sure.
I was texting a friend of mine who's a Dodgers fan and like kind of just getting into baseball this year. And I was like, you don't understand, like these games don't happen. Like it's not this good
Right.
most of the time. Like is it the best game I've ever watched? That's debatable. I think it's between that one and 2016.
Yeah.
Um just given the context of its game seven, like it's up there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, context definitely matters. Because on its face, I think, it could arguably be better than 2016 Game 7. I think the dramatic moments were more dramatic in this one
100%.
than the 2016 one because the Rajay Davis home run happened in what, the seventh inning,
The eighth.
eighth inning? Yeah, okay, yeah, eighth inning.
Yeah.
Um, it was still like a jaw-dropping moment.
Oh
But yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
Well, that for me, like the 2016 one, like I think I'm still putting it above this game largely because of the two droughts, between
yeah,
the two teams. Like that was a big thing for me. This one, obviously there was a 1 year drought and a 32-year drought, which is, I'm not denying that the Blue Jays have a lengthy drought, but I mean, do you remember what you were talking about in 2016? It was nobody's been alive for this, basically.
yeah, right. Yeah. No one had, like, barely people had been alive for the Cubs even being in a World Series, never
Right,
mind
right. And the
winning
Guardians winning
one.
one was only 3 years later.
Yeah, and with that one, it kind of got the more Hollywood ending because, even
Hmm.
though the Guard or the Indians had a sort of a drought, definitely a drought at the time. People had a preference for the Cubs. I think the national narrative, people obviously had a preference for the Blue
100%.
Jays here, and they didn't get that desired ending, of course, with the Dodgers winning. But yeah, it kind of like in terms of like sporting, not that it happened the same way, but it kind of reminds me of the Patriots beating the Falcons in 2016 Super Bowl 51, where it was a great game, but it went to the team that I'm sure most of the country was not, most of the fandom was not rooting for. Um,
Yeah.
but uh, but yeah,
And it's so cruel because, like the Patriots, everyone was ready to celebrate the Dodgers' demise
yeah,
in this game. And, like, I don't know. I think it's kind of cheap and we can get to this narrative in a second, but, like, there's obviously been a lot being said about the precedent that this World Series sets and whatnot. Like, the Dodgers were 2 outs away from being beat. This idea that it was unfair is ridiculous.
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
the Blue Jays had them beat. They didn't finish it off. It's not, and again, it was Miguel Rojas that did it.
Yeah,
Like,
you
it's
could.
not, it's not like Ohtani had to come bail them out. Like, he was actually one of the worst players on the team in this game. He almost lost in the series with his pitching performance.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And yeah, you could point at two plays in the last 2 years, and the Dodgers have no
Like,
World Series in the last 2 years. If Ohtani doesn't hit a 3-run homer against the Padres in the NLDS, um, that you
yeah,
know
right, exactly.
that
Like,
World Series might not be won.
if the Padres could have scored a run in 24 innings.
Yes, right, exactly.
If they could have
Um,
won a game started by Ryan Brazier on the other side. Just to give you
yeah,
an idea on how Otani's pitching performance was in game seven, he had a 1096 OPS during the series, and because of his pitching, his championship win probability added combined his pitching and his hitting was negative.
yeah, pretty
Like,
wild.
that's how bad it was. He did
Yeah,
not show up on the mound in that game. Because, like, even like it's not just the Bichette home run. Like, the Blue Jays had him on the ropes for multiple different innings early in that game.
yeah,
And the,
100%.
the the inning that he finally didn't, the inning that he finally broke was the third.
Right, right. Yeah, I actually want to look back on that and see what happened. Because yeah, I mean, it was a quick poll because it didn't seem to be completely out of left
He just
field.
no, he didn't have it. I can pull it up right now. So it was the first inning. It was a George Springer single. He lined a ball to left field, and then it was a strikeout by Nathan Lucas, and then it was the strikeout double play where Springer like paused in the middle of the baseline because he thought it was a walk. By the way, a lot of bad base running from the Blue Jays in this series too. That was if you want to blame them for something, I think the base running was pretty terrible along with those late situations. But then the second inning, walk, single, pop out, fly out, single, bases are loaded with 2 outs, and then Andres Jimenez strikes out. So like they had Otani, for a couple moments there, but it just didn't happen
Yeah,
until the third, obviously.
yeah, yeah. Load the bases in the second. Not a lot of strikeouts either when Otani, is regularly like striking out 30% of his batters.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. Not a not the most excellent performance in that specific game. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was yeah, absolutely legendary game. And a very good series. Not every game was one to necessarily remember, but a lot of them had their moments for sure.
Yeah,
Do we want to go into what
some of the
direction do we
notes.
want to go in?
Well, yeah, we'll go through some of the notes. So game three, this one was. I mean, what was your game three watching experience, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, luckily luckily my job, a lot of the action happens at night, so I was able to watch the whole thing without much of a worry. I think I was working on some stuff and whatever, but yeah, I had it on and I was very invested. I mean, that's kind of what it was. How about you?
So I've had a very bad sleep schedule for the last like month or so. I wonder why. Um, but I I took a melatonin after the eighth inning of this game. The game was tied at that point, and I knew I was taking some kind of risk, but I was like, it won't be that long. Like if this game ends, in 11 or 12 innings, the melatonin will have kicked in, and I'll have an easy time going to bed. I didn't feel it once during this game. I felt nothing. I there was at no point did I really feel like, oh, I took a melatonin a few hours ago. Yeah, I took a melatonin and then watched the final 10 innings of this game. I watched the whole game and then some after that. Um, yeah, it was, this was a work night for me. I did stay up until 2:45 in the morning and then get up for work the next day. The work day was a bit rough, but we got through it. We powered on as you
Yeah,
do.
it's what you got to do. It's the
Yeah.
lifestyle we've signed up for.
Yeah.
Um,
But no, it was crazy, man. Like it felt very deja vu of 2018, not just because of the obvious similarities being that it's game three of the World Series in Dodger Stadium and it goes 18 innings with the Dodgers winning in a walk-off home run. But uh, the Blue Jays lineup just looked completely helpless up there, which is the same feeling that I had from the Red Sox in that game 7 years ago.
Yeah, I will say the one distinction for me was, with that Red Sox game, you know, the offense looked dead the whole time. It's such a weird flip-flop of seeing, the teams combined for 10 runs in regulation and then be completely dead for nine for nine
Yeah, right.
straight
That was a
innings.
3-2 game, and it
Yeah.
was 1-1 going into into extra innings
Yeah, no,
on
it's crazy.
solo home runs.
Right. So that was definitely the main difference. Probably, not a crazy thing to say, but yeah, I mean, a lot of cool moments. I think the crazy thing about it was what they did with Shohei Ohtani. Because in regulation he absolutely dominated. He went 4 for 4, two doubles, two homers, and then they just kept walking him, which was obviously the smart thing to do. Um, and they didn't end up even getting punished for it. It was a Freddie
No.
Freeman home run that ended up costing them the game. But yeah, I mean, he reached base 9 times, which is so ridiculous.
Yeah, he had 5 walks, 4 of them being intentional. And then the last one was basically intentional. They pitched to him, but it was 4 balls and none of them were close.
Right. Yeah, it's so so insane.
I think the idea of that at bat was maybe we get him to chase and he makes bad contact, and obviously he didn't do that. Yeah, so he went. I'll go through the notes. He went 4 for 4 in that game, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 5 walks, 4 of them intentional. He is the first player in baseball history with 2 home runs, two two doubles, and 3+ walks in a postseason game. He joins Corey Seager as the only players with 5+ walks in a postseason game. And he also becomes the 10th player with 4 intentional walks in a game. That's regular or postseason, um, which is pretty cool. I feel like a lot of people forget about this second inning really bad strike two call to Dalton Varsho, which led to Bo Bichette getting picked off at first, which is crazy because that might have cost the Blue Jays this game and thus the entire series. Do you remember this one, Chris?
I sort of do. I mean, it feels like it happened 2 months
I
ago,
know
but
we're
uh,
this is very old at this point, but I made sure to remember this the entire time. Because yeah, so this was a situation where it was, I believe, no outs, maybe it was one out, and um a runner was on first. It was Bobichette. Dalton Varsho takes a 3-1 pitch. I believe it was a curveball from Tyler Glasnow. It's high in the zone, objectively a ball. It gets called a strike, but it's a late strike call. And Varsho's confused and starts walking to first, and thus Bichette starts walking to second. They pick him off, which, now there's 2 outs. Well, Alejandro Kirk then hits a single. I think Varsho eventually walked or something like that. Um, Alejandro Kirk hit a single through the hole on the right side of the infield, and then there was a fly out that ended the inning that could have been. I know Bichette was hurt, so it's hard to tell if he scores on it or not, but it could have scored a run.
right, right.
This was in the second inning, so whether or not that cost them a run is okay. No, Varsho. What was this? I'm trying to find it.
Yeah,
Okay, this is in the first inning. Never mind. So it was
above
or no, it wasn't. What am I talking about?
above replacement radio
Oh, I'm
YouTube
looking at the wrong
channel.
game. That's what's going on. I'm looking at the wrong game. This
Oh,
was game 3. Yeah, the 6-5 game. This was the second inning. Yeah, so Bobichette singled. Varsho eventually walked, so that would have been second and third, or first and second rather, with nobody out. Alejandro Kirk then singles, and that would have been either bases loaded, nobody out, or or Bichette scores. Hard to tell, but then it's a Barger strikeout, and then Ernie Clement lines out. It's a 285-foot line out. Could Bo Bichette have scored on that? Maybe, but we'll never know. And if he scores that run, they don't go to extra innings. The Blue Jays go up 2-1, and then they win it in 5.
right? Yeah. Um,
That's it. The little things
yeah.
in the series.
Above replacement radio YouTube channel, we're checking out the strike call. It's pitch number 5,
5. It's bad.
and it's very high up there, and it was called a
It was
strike.
bad. Was it a
Yeah,
curveball?
it was a sinker.
A sinker. Okay. Still, it was not a strike.
Yeah, no, it very apparently is not. But yeah, little butterfly effect there. Not to reference that again, but that is how things go in a 7-game series. That's you got to
A
look at
lot
the
that
little
happens.
things.
Uh, Going through some more notes from this game, Alejandro Kirk hit a 4th-inning home run. I don't know if you remember that one, but it was his second home run hit against a curveball since July of 2022. Uh, this was off Tyler Glasnow, who pitched 4 2/3 innings in this game. He gave up 5 hits, four runs, though only 2 of them were earned. 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 36.4% sinker usage, his second highest in a game since June of 2017. He really switched up his arsenal in this game. His 4-seam rate was also the lowest since that same date. So he replaced the 4-seamer with the sinker in the start. It's a pitch that the Blue Jays struggled with throughout the year. Max Scherzer pitched in this game. He had a 94.8 mile per hour average 4-seam fastball velocity, his highest in a game since September of 2022. We went through the Shohei notes. Freddie Freeman, of course, hit a walk-off home run. He became the first player with multiple World Series walk-off home runs, but none of that would happen, Chris, without the heroics of Will Klein out of the bullpen. This was a guy who was not who was only added to the postseason roster because of unfortunately Alex Vesia being off the roster due to very tragic personal reasons. But 4 innings pitched for Klein, 1 hit allowed, no runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 26% called strike and whiff rate. And as I mentioned, the Blue Jays offense was just completely lifeless as we rolled to the extras. From innings 8 through 18, they had 44 plate appearances. They slashed 158, 273, 174 for a 457 OPS. Their expected numbers were 195, 307, 277, 584. They had a 23.3% whiff rate, a 20% strikeout rate, 48.3% ground ball rate, and a 3.4% barrel rate. with the only barrel coming from Miles Straw, of all people, and an 83.9 mile per hour average exit velocity.
Yeah, 83.9 miles per hour is very, very low.
Yeah.
Um, like, yeah, if you see a hitter with that profile, it's like, wow, he better hit a lot of line drives. Um, but but yeah, so that was, an incredible game, and the Dodgers win it. Obviously, any win in this series was going to be huge for either side. And yeah, Blue Jays respond pretty well with a convincing victory in Game 4, where they won um, by
Six
a
to two.
6-2 score.
Mhm.
And then they kind of do the same thing the next day, except with a more dominant pitching performance. But before we get into that, I guess Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He was the second player to homer off of a Shohei Ohtani sweeper this year. The only other player to do that was Byron Buxton, who was an All-Star this year. And then the Blue Jays in the seventh inning, they had 9 batters go up to the plate. They had a 504 expected batting average and 721 expected slugging percentage. They went on to score. They went on to score 4 runs in that inning.
Mhm.
And based on those numbers, it makes sense why. And yeah, and then Game 5 was the Trey Savage game.
Yeah, what a postseason it was. I know that it kind of gets soured by the splitter he hung to Max Muncy in the eighth inning of Game 7, but Trey Savage was obviously drafted last year out of Eastern Carolina. He started this year in Single A Dunedin, made 3 regular season starts and 5 postseason starts, 6 postseason appearances. 2/3 of his major league appearances have been in the postseason. 7 out of 9 have been either to lead the Blue Jays to a division win or a postseason game. In this game, it was 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run allowed on a home run, no walks, and 12 strikeouts. It is the first game in World Series history with no walks and 12 plus strikeouts. He joins Randy Johnson as the only pitcher, as the only pitcher in postseason history to have multiple games in one postseason with 11 plus strikeouts. Randy Johnson, of course, did this in 2001. It was 11 strikeouts, 1 or fewer walks, and 3 or fewer hits. Yeah, only Savage and Johnson have done that twice in a postseason. In this game, he had a 44% whiff rate, a 40% called strike whiff rate, both the highest in a World Series game since 2008, minimum 100 pitches thrown. This was one of the more impressive individual, World Series outings I've seen in a while, and it probably wasn't even the best one in this series, with Yamamoto in Game 2.
Right, yeah. It's pretty incredible, and yeah, context is everything. So considering the context, it was certainly memorable because I know they showed that graphic a billion times, but what his first start was in professional baseball this season uh, compared to the starts he was making in the postseason. As much as that was shown, it's still pretty crazy to wrap your brain around, or to try to wrap your brain around. And in a the guy, Savage is what, 22 years old?
Yeah, he's 22,
Yeah,
or
so
at
I
least
mean,
this is his age 22 season.
so yeah, he's doing crazy stuff, or he did crazy stuff for a guy that age, especially in a game where it seems that the younger players, or the position players tend to be favored at the younger ages, and pitchers tend to season a little bit more later in their career. So having a pitcher this early in his career making that impact is pretty unbelievable. So yeah, crazy stuff there, and the Blue Jays win convincingly again. Game 6, not there wasn't a lot to remember from
Yamamoto
this
pitched
one.
well.
Yeah,
What was it, 6 innings in this one
yep.
with one
He
earned
he
run?
he continued his dominance, but just in general with what happened in the game, there wasn't a lot to remember outside of that final play, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's really just the inning, right? Like the ball getting lodged in
Yeah,
on the wall. Shout out to Justin Dean for the heads up play there. It got a lot of
Yeah.
people mad, but that is literally the objectively correct thing to do there, is you have to throw your hands up. Uh,
Yes.
even if it's even if you could play it in a second, like you can't take any risks there.
A hundred
Um,
percent.
and
And
then
I think
there's
if he played it normally, I think Barger would have stopped at second anyway. So
for sure, but that run probably scores from first. Actually, it was
which
Alejandro
wouldn't have
Kirk, debatable.
which wouldn't have mattered
No,
anyway.
but it's also
That's
Alejandro
my
Kirk,
thing
so I
though.
guess it is debatable.
Right.
And then yeah, there's the Ernie Clement pop out, and then of course the Andres Jimenez line drive double play. Kike Hernandez to um who was playing, was it Betts? Yeah, it was Betts, right?
Playing second
Or
base,
was it
Rojas.
Rojas who caught that ball?
I think it was Rojas.
Okay, it was Rojas. And yeah, that was, tough moment for Addison Barger. Like that's, you freeze on a line drive, they teach you that. But I also get it because it's like, I don't know, in that situation, I think you're amped to score the game tying run, but you gotta wait and see.
And it was a thing where if it did drop, it would have been bang bang at home plate.
Oh, I
Um,
don't think he would have scored.
right,
If
true.
that ball drops, he's absolutely not scoring
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
unless he got the greatest read of all time. But also, like, Kike didn't have a tough time catching that ball at all.
right. Yeah, it is a tough play on Barger's end for sure. And yeah, who knows what would happen on the next plate appearance anyway, but yeah, it is something to think about for sure. A hit would have scored him on the next plate appearance if it were to have happened. Um, but yeah, I mean, pretty excellent series and moment filled series, performance filled series. To go over some of the performances of the Fall Classic of 2025. We could talk about Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who
Unreal.
was the World Series MVP. Started games two and six, went out the day after game six, pitched two scoreless innings to close out the World Series. He went 17 and two-thirds innings pitched overall with a 102 ERA, 2.12 FIP. He had a 17% fly ball rate, and he only allowed one pulled fly ball all series. And that partially because of that, he allowed zero home runs. And yeah, he was named World Series MVP. Shohei Ohtani was excellent at the plate. He had a 1278 OPS, 0.43 win probability added as a position player. He got on base 18 times. He put together 21 total bases, and he had a 94.8 mile per hour average exit velocity and 30% barrel rate. On the other side of things, we mentioned, the Blue Jays had their own excellent offensive performances. Addison Barger, he hit 480 with a 1216 OPS and put up a 15% barrel rate. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. continued what he had been doing all postseason with a 1074 OPS. He got on base 18 times as well and put up a 15% barrel rate. And Bo Bichette, through his injury, still put up a 923 OPS as a whole. So yeah, pretty some pretty memorable performances along with just
Most
having
notably, I
won the
think we got to
game.
go deeper on the Yamamoto performance because that was, I think the objectively correct take is that it's the best World Series pitching performance since 2014 Madison Bumgarner. I've even heard some people saying it's better. I don't subscribe to that line of thinking, but yeah, this was special. Like it's not, and like added to it is that he almost pitched in game three, which, if he had pitched in game three, maybe the way they use him down the stretch is different. But this was a gutsy performance every single time he went out there.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, it's because I'm a huge like 2014 Bumgarner is forever going to be etched in my memory.
I think that will remain for the rest of our lives the best World Series pitching performance we ever see.
Yeah, and
I don't know how anyone's going to top that, and I don't think, no disrespect to Yamamoto, he had an incredible series. Like no, nothing is topping that.
yeah, and it's sort of like almost a victim of circumstance situation where, since Yamamoto started game two instead of game one, like,
Mm-hmm.
he had to pitch game seven on 0 days rest as opposed to 2 days rest like Bumgarner had. But yeah, I would put Bumgarner's ahead as well. He pitched 3 1/3 more innings. He allowed less runs as well. So and he threw 5 scoreless innings to close out the World Series for his team. That's all with a 1 run lead, all with the pressure all on him. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Yamamoto had the best best World Series performance since that. It
Yeah.
took that to outdo him. Um, and yeah, as you mentioned, gutsy as well. Going out there on 0 days rest, offering to go on 0 days rest in game three as well, which should be noted for sure. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was pretty unbelievable, and it kind of showed it showed why, the Dodgers were willing to invest so much in him before he ever stepped on an MLB mound.
Yeah. It's 325 million feels like an underpay at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Especially
good
the
for.
average annual value of 27 million.
Was
That's
it, were those reports true that the Yankees didn't pay Yamamoto that much because they didn't want to pay anyone more than Garrett Cole? I know that it was like a thing that people said. Is that true or not? I'm not sure.
I don't know if that's a true thing. Um,
It's, yeah, I don't know. But I thought about that again when I, saw that.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean it was unbelievable for sure. Struck out 15 batters against a team that doesn't really strike out, which is impressive in its own way. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I guess to extend extend on the playoff performance as a whole, because the Dodgers and Blue Jays each had some excellent performers that were doing it the whole playoffs. Yamamoto being one of them. Yamamoto had a 1.45 ERA and 2.79 FIP throughout the playoffs in 37 and 2/3 innings pitched. What helped him out was a 54% ground ball rate. The last of which being the game-winning double play. Um, Also, Shohei Ohtani at the plate put up a 1096 OPS throughout the playoffs, with a 97.2 mph average exit velocity, 30% barrel rate. He pulled 47% of his fly balls, and then on the mound he had a 2.84 FIP in 20 1/3 innings pitched. And yeah, did you want to get into some of the Blue Jays performers?
Yeah, sure. I can get into who is great for the Blue Jays in the postseason. Obviously, the notable one is Addison Barger was huge. I felt like I think he would have gotten World Series MVP for the Blue Jays had they won. Obviously, given circumstance, I think whoever hit the walk off probably would have won it, but I think Barger had the best, World Series and also just the best postseason. He hit 377, or one of the best postseasons, I should say. He hit 360. Yeah, sorry, he hit 367 with a 1025 OPS, 22 hits in 17 games. You didn't go over Vladimir Guerrero Jr., did you?
Nope.
Good, because that was um I do wonder how much of this postseason run for the Blue Jays and the success that they had this season was due to them locking up Vlad Jr. because I think that probably took so much pressure off of this clubhouse where they didn't feel like this was the only year they had to go out and do this. Obviously, he's a Blue Jay for life, and he hit 397 this postseason with a 1289 OPS. He had more home runs than strikeouts, 8-7, just an 8% strikeout rate, a 16% walk rate, a 93 mph average exit velocity, a 16% barrel rate, and a 27% line drive rate. I think there's a lot of criticism that people had for, a $500 million contract for a first baseman. Regardless of what your take is, um, I think pretty clearly he made it all worth it in this postseason. I would rather have to pay him 500 million than have him walk, no doubt, if I'm the Blue Jays. Ernie Clement had a really good postseason. He hit 411 with a 977 OPS, a 6.5% strikeout rate. He had 30 hits throughout the postseason, the most that anyone's had in a single postseason, along with naturally a 36% line drive rate, so that you'd expect from a guy that had 30 hits. And then George Springer, an 899 OPS, 10 extra base hits in 16 games, and an 18 barrel rate. So I think we should just talk about the Dodgers because they are the first repeat champion. As much as people want to hate, this is a team that, it's not just the spending. It's not just the fact that they, have this payroll flexibility that nobody else has because they are smart. They do, they spend smart. As I have said on this program before, you can't really point to any bad contracts on this team, especially long-term ones. Like, okay, 17 million for Michael Conforto didn't work out this year. Who cares? In terms of long contracts, the only one that you could maybe point to is Tyler Glasnow because he just isn't on the field that much. He's had a lot of injury problems, but even then, like he had a very good postseason. He had what was it? What was his ERA in this postseason?
I don't
It
think it
was
was
very good. I know that.
bad. Let me go to
I got
the
it.
numbers. 169.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Like 6.9 ERA in the postseason. Like this is a team that they they develop, they draft very well at low draft positions. They're able to trade prospects for good players. Yes, it obviously helps to be able to spend that much too. But again, like all of their contracts seem to be aging very well. Like if you could go back, seeing what we've seen from Freddie Freeman, 6 years and 162 million is like nothing, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a very good contract. I know that Mookie Betts didn't have a very good year, but 13 years and 365 million doesn't look too bad. We mentioned Yamamoto. And then I mean, I'm sorry. This might be my hottest take. I truly think any team could have signed Shohei Ohtani even to that deal. Because that contract pays itself off. It's worth it. And he was the one that suggested the deferments. That was his idea. He gave the Angels a chance to match the Dodgers offer. They declined. Like this is again, people want to point to the Dodgers and say they're ruining baseball. Other teams had these chances. The Angels literally had the last word on Shohei Ohtani and they said no. That is what happened. That is a fundamental truth. And it's not and you can't tell me that they couldn't have paid that contract. You can't do it. I'm sorry. Again, it pays for itself. He was the one that suggested the deferments that make a lot of the Dodgers other spending possible. He would have taken it elsewhere. Like like people have this like derangement syndrome about the Dodgers because I don't know because like deep down people know that there is a problem with the inequalities between various teams in this league, and it does exist. And it's simply a willingness gap. It's not a economic gap. There is an economic gap. I don't think it's the economic gap that exists in this game is truly reflected in the gap between the Dodgers payroll and the Pirates payroll. I think it is much shorter than that. I think there is a willingness gap that has gotten us to this point.
Yeah, I agree with you on everything you're saying. And to add to that, the Dodgers have the luxury of having 7 players on 9-figure deals currently. But those 7 players are as follows: Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Ohtani, Blake Snell, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. All of them were major contributors, especially in the postseason this year. And you look at, if you go to Spot Track and you look at all the $100 million deals, there's some duds in there. Not all of them work out like they've worked out with the Dodgers. There's no Giancarlo Stanton on this team. There's no Xander Bogaerts on this team. There's no Arenado. There's no Anthony Rendon. There's no uh, there's no Chris Bryant on this team.
Yeah.
There's none of that. I'm looking for more here. There's no Jose Barrios on this team. All of those guys I just mentioned, all 7 of those guys who are on 9-figure deals, you could argue if you take one of them out, there's no World Series this year. And I think, that wouldn't be a crazy thing to say. It's not like they're spending money blindly. They're spending it in the right ways, and sure, they spend more than any other team in baseball, but that's one of the reasons they succeed. That's not the reason they succeed. So
Yeah.
and also, they make more revenue than most other teams. I think the fact that they spend on their players has a little something to do with that too.
Yeah, I think if I mean, look, I acknowledge that not every, not every team can have all of those players on all of those deals. I will, that is where people tend to point to, and I agree with that. Um, that way, like there are teams that could chip in a couple of these deals along with whatever else they have. Like look at the Cubs. Like the Cubs, how many guaranteed contracts do the big market Chicago Cubs, a almost larger city than Los Angeles, have beyond this year? One. They have one player signed beyond next year in 2026. Like don't tell me that they can't add, they couldn't have signed two of those Dodgers contracts and they would be better with, pick two of those guys. Um, that's one example. There are plenty. So yes, I acknowledge that not every team can have all of those players, but we never had to get to a point where it's the Dodgers getting all of those. And by the way, like, there will be a lot said this off season about the Dodgers winning will cause the lockout and it will cause games to be canceled and it will cause a salary cap. The lockout was happening no matter what. If we could go back and run back a scenario where the Dodgers get swept by the Cincinnati Reds in these playoffs, we're still talking about a guaranteed lockout in 2027. Like, don't be ridiculous. This has nothing. The Blue Jays, again, we're 2 outs away. If the Blue Jays had won the World Series, we're still talking about a lockout. Like, do not let any of the narratives be fueled because the Dodgers won the World Series. All of this was happening regardless because the owners are pushing for a salary cap regardless. They've wanted it for years, but the Dodgers and their spending habits and their repeated World Series success make it seem more justifiable to fans. That is what this is, you will hear Rob Manfred saying, well, we just can't have, half of these key teams just can't compete. It's just not fair for all these teams because look at the Dodgers and no one can blah, blah, blah. They're doing this no matter what happens. The Dodgers lost in the NLDS in the 2 years before they had Shohei Ohtani. And they could have done so again in 2024, and they could have lost the World Series this year. They faced a team with a better record in technically every series. Like the Blue Jays had the tiebreaker over them. Actually, yeah, they literally did. Outside of the Reds, they literally faced three teams with better regular season records than them. But again, like the only reason why, Rob Manfred will point to the Dodgers as a justification for a salary cap is because it makes it seem more justifiable to fans. This is what he wants no matter what happens.
Right, right, absolutely. And yeah, the gap between, I'm looking on Spot Track here. So the gap between the highest spending MLB team and the lowest spending MLB team, according to like total salary allocations for 2025, it was over a $270 million difference. In the NFL, the difference between the highest spending team and lowest spending team is less than $60 million. So I don't know what the rules are. I don't know if I'm not very familiar with the NFL and how they operate and the salary floor and what the revenue aspects are like. But I know that the bottom MLB teams can do a lot better than what they're doing right now. That's for sure. And yeah, as I mentioned, the Dodgers, it's, part of the reason why they win is their spending, but it's not the only reason. And I've gone ad nauseum about the homegrown talent that they develop. They're always consistently like top 10 and usually more often than not a top 5 farm system, despite, not having a top draft pick in a really long time at this point. And, even some of the players that I mentioned that are on 9-figure deals, the Dodgers acquired those guys using their prospects to trade for them and then eventually extended them, most notably with Mookie Betts and Tyler Glasnow. And there's been other examples of that as well, I believe. But yeah, it's I think teams in a way kind of aspire to be like the Dodgers in being able to spend and also being able to develop their own talent and do those both simultaneously. There's a lot of teams in MLB that are good at spending. There's a lot of teams in MLB that are good at developing their own players. there's a very small amount of them that are good at both. The Dodgers are, you know, arguably the best at both, and that's why they win. So yeah, that's kind of the situation we've run into and why they're kind of developing into a little bit of a dynasty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so I think that's a good Dodger talk there.
yeah,
Do we want to, put a bow on this season and talk about awards?
yeah, for sure. Usually we wait a little bit, but because they're being
It's
announced
this
this
week.
week and we couldn't record last week, we will talk about the BBWAA awards. The past couple of years we've made it a whole award show where we have our own personal custom awards, but we do not really have
We're doing something
time
different
for
this
that.
year.
We're gonna save the custom awards for next week when we have a little bit more time to prepare. Um, but uh, but yeah, so for those who are awaiting the winner of the Mercy Award and the Short End Award. I'm sorry you're gonna have to wait another 7 days, I imagine. But and for those waiting our hits and flops, again, you're gonna have to wait another week. But yeah, we will talk about the BBWAA awards. Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year, Cy Young, MVP, and we're also gonna have a little fun, a new fun element to predicting these awards and how they will.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this.
Um,
Yeah, so do we want to just start with Rookie of the Years because that's the order in which these are handed out?
Yes, yes. Yeah, we'll go Monday through Thursday on this. Yes, the American League Rookie of the Year. This is pretty clear for me and probably everyone that's going to be voting. It is my
Is
my pick is Nick Kurtz, and I think they will vote for Nick Kurtz.
Yeah, this is I don't know, there's not much to be said other than what a rookie season it was.
Yeah.
He was awesome this year. Um, he was one of the best hitters in baseball from like the month of June on,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean like a 189 weighted runs created plus from June 1st on, leading all qualifiers. That's how good we're talking. And that's with a 30% strikeout rate.
Yeah, pretty crazy. He led all American League rookies in FWAR, home runs, RBI, runs scored, and batting run value. He led in batting run value by a significant margin, by the way, among AL rookies. And put up a 1002 OPS in 117 games, 489 plate appearances. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a little bit of MVP action as well. Not necessarily
Mhm.
like, he obviously not in any finalist territory, but getting some votes. But yeah, I mean, excellent season for him. I'm looking forward to what's in store for the future. Anything more before we move on to the National League?
Now this one is a little more interesting, but also a little more boring, if you will, right?
Yes.
Because I think there's a less certainty of who's winning, but also uh, definitely a lesser quality of season than really any of the three finalists for American League Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely one of the weaker Rookie of the Year votes in recent memory for sure. I think even the 2021 one with Jonathan India and Trevor Rogers, I think that one was better than this one.
Oh yeah.
But uh But yeah, what were your thoughts on who you think you should win and who they will pick?
Yeah, so I think it should go to Drake Baldwin. He had a very impressive season for the Braves, in a situation where they had him start on opening day. He had a very unlucky start to the season, but finished up with a 125 weighted runs created plus with a 15% strikeout rate at the catcher position. There's been a lot of talk about how good a certain catcher's been this year, so I feel like we should also give Drake Baldwin some love for having a very good offensive season as a rookie catcher. And he was very good defensively as well. I think they're going to give it to Cade Horton. I don't know, like I get the same vibe from this race that I got from like the AL Rookie of the Year race last year, where I felt like it should have gone to the pretty solid position player, but they gave it to the pitcher with a low ERA. Cade Horton, very good year, a 267 ERA and 118 innings. The FIP was a lot higher than that, but they're obviously not going to look at that, and I don't think they should. But I would still go with Drake Baldwin for this one. How about you?
So yeah, my pick would definitely be Drake Baldwin. Drake Baldwin led National League rookies in F4. He was second in batting run value, and only trailed by zero point 0.1 runs to the next highest. And the guy ahead of him was, I think, Dalen Lyle, and Baldwin provided a lot more defensive value than Lyle. And I'm kind of stuck on who I think they will vote for. I think they'll vote for Drake Baldwin. I think it'll be close. I think there's definitely going to be some first place action put on Cade Horton, but I think maybe if Cade Horton pitched more innings, I'd be more confident in the uh, association going with him. But partially because Baldwin was an everyday player and also very offensively productive from the catcher position. I think they'll go with him, but I think it'll be kind of a narrower vote. But I think they will go with Baldwin. Um, On to American League Manager of the Year. Who do you have?
Yeah. So the finalists are the three division winners. John Schneider of the Blue Jays, Stephen Vogt of the Guardians, and Dan Wilson of the Mariners. I would give it to John Schneider, but I think they're going to give it to Stephen Vogt. I think they should give it to Schneider because they had the best record in the American League this year, tied with the Yankees, but they did hold the tiebreaker and therefore the number one seed. I wrote this team off at the start of this year, and so did a lot of people. This was a team that went worst to first. They went from last place in their division to first place within a year. And not only did they do that, but like I said, best record in the league. I was very impressed with just the complete turnaround that they had this year. I think they will give it to Stephen Vogt because of the deficit that he had to overcome. It was a 15 and a half game deficit that he overcame against the Tigers. I don't think there's necessarily a wrong answer between these two. And even I wouldn't be that mad if Wilson won, but I think Schneider is my vote. How about you?
I would also go with John Schneider. I did not have high expectations for the Blue Jays going in, and I don't think really many people in the baseball world had high expectations for the Blue Jays. I think the teams being discussed for the playoffs were mostly the other four in the AL East. And I don't think the Blue Jays were really being considered much for being a playoff team. They obviously finished in last place last year, and they didn't have a huge offseason. Like they made some quality additions for sure, but they didn't make any big splashes in the offseason that made people believe that they were going to be a different team in 2025. There was also a narrative of a lot of the core of their roster aging, whether it be like Kevin Gosman or George Springer. A lot of the guys that were kind of on the tail end of their big free agent deals that were a bigger deal, a few years ago. And yeah, the Blue Jays defied expectations. They put together the best record in the American League. So I definitely think John Snyder deserves this one. I think
You
he'll
think they're
also
gonna?
win. I think he will win.
Okay, you think they will give it to him?
But I totally get thinking that Stephen Vogt will win because I mean, this is voted on the day after the regular season ends. It was the day it would be, so that means that's the day after the Guardians won the division, and
Also, the day after the Blue Jays won it.
also the day after the Blue Jays won it, which also makes me push to thinking, okay, maybe they would give some credit to the Blue Jays, but I remember at the end of the regular season how shocking it was seeing the Guardians in the position they were in and how much of a storyline that was. And the Heat's kind of come off of it now that it's, 6 weeks later, but that was a huge deal. I personally, like, if I were a voter, I'd have a tough time giving a Manager of the Year award to a manager that lost, I think, 5 more games than they did last year. It would just be tough for me. I know that it ended a lot better, but season as a whole, the Guardians did not technically improve.
I
But
would not be offended if Vogt won this.
um,
Like I think there's completely fair reasoning for it,
I
and it's
respect
also Manager of the Year.
I respect that opinion. Manager of the Year. I'm not going to get
Yeah.
emotional about it
No,
at all. Well, maybe I will with National League Manager of the
I
Year.
might with
Yeah.
National League. I think we're thinking the same thing. It should be Pat Murphy. My vote is Pat Murphy. I think they're gonna go with Pat Murphy, but I am nervous they might go with Terry Francona. No disrespect to Terry Francona and the Reds, but their biggest accomplishment was sucking less than the Mets. Like that's ultimately what got him over the line. They won 83 games and snuck their way into the postseason. Pat Murphy, the Brewers, this was also a team that I wrote off before this year. I thought they were going to be around like 500-ish. Instead, they had the best record in Major League Baseball. And they did it really without any star players. Like Jackson Chorio did not have the overwhelming season that I thought he was going to have. Christian Yelich was pretty good, but he wasn't healthy the whole time. There was no like ace pitcher that stood out. I know that Freddie Peralta had a solid year, but you're probably not hearing his name much in Cy Young discussions. You're not hearing anyone on this team in MVP discussions. And Pat Murphy did it with, they call themselves the average Joes. And well, they won 97 games. So yeah, I'm on the Pat Murphy train. I think he will win it. I think he should win it for a
Yeah,
second straight
I'm
year.
I'm upset for a different reason than you potentially might be.
Is it
And
because you think Clayton McCullough should win it?
yes,
That's fair. I mean, I also agree with that, as I've said on this program before. But I am nervous they'll give it to Terry Francona.
Um, so yeah, time is a flat circle because 2 years ago I arrived to this microphone and I had a rant about why I thought David Bell should win with for the 2023 Reds. Um, and he was not a finalist as well, like the same way Clayton McCullough of the Miami Marlins is not a finalist this year. And in that rant, I was talking about how like, boosting outperforming by 20 wins is outperforming by 20 wins, whether that's 100 wins to 80 wins or 80 wins to 60 wins. So the same way, like, how Otani was the MVP of the when he was on the Angels, because, boosting a 65 win team to a 75 win team is just as valuable as boosting a 85 win team to a 95 win team, in my opinion. So I have that same logic with the Marlins. The Marlins were supposed to be the laughing stock of the National League, and they ended up being pretty competitive and, kind of in the playoff race for the majority of the year and not out of it. And they ended up finishing ahead of the Braves in the National League East, which, I mean, if you said that was going to happen at the start of this year, you would have been laughed out of the room. But they ended up doing that, and they won 79 games. They probably should have, before the season, I would have predicted that they would have been in like the mid 50s win total wise. So yeah, Clayton McCullough of the Miami Marlins should absolutely be manager of the year, especially like looking at the finalists. I get why Pat Murphy's in there, but what did Rob Thompson do that was more impressive than what Clayton McCullough did this year? Like, serious question. The Phillies won 96 games. I didn't have them as a division winner, but that was not a shocking result whatsoever.
Much of his roster stayed healthier.
Yes, yeah, and
Like Aaron Nola got hurt.
right. The
Bryce
Marlins,
Harper, I think, spent some time down, but like not. Yeah,
yeah, the Marlins winning 79 games this year was crazy, but it doesn't get, because they weren't a playoff team, that doesn't really get talked about as much. Naturally, I get why, but Clayton McCullough should have been in this conversation. In my opinion, he should have won. Obviously we know he didn't win because he's not a finalist. And I think Pat Murphy is a solid second place guy. I think I would have had him
yeah.
given him a second place vote. I think Pat Murphy will win this, and I wouldn't say he doesn't deserve it, but I think Clayton McCullough deserves it a little bit more. Just yeah, I mean, this was a hopeless roster heading into the season, and now
Yeah.
now we're thinking, oh, the Marlins could, be something. They were competitive this year, and
They were over 500 in like August, weren't they? Or was
I
it
think
July?
so.
No,
Yeah,
it was August because it was right after that Yankee series, right?
they
That
were
was right
four,
after the trade deadline.
they ended the season 4 games out of a playoff spot, and
Yeah,
they were supposed to be the worst team in the National League, and they ended up being almost in the playoffs this year. That should be recognized, and I think
100%.
it's a failure, or it's something that the BBWAA has not taken realization to yet, and I hope they do, in future elections where this happens. Um, but manager of the year is stupid anyway, so I can't get
Yeah.
myself too worked up about it.
No, I
Uh,
100% agree with you. As I've said on this program multiple times before, I think Clayton McCullough is the objective correct answer. I was looking
yeah,
among the finalists, and among those three, I think it's Pat Murphy.
yeah, I would totally
Um,
agree with that as well.
yeah.
Um,
Cy Young.
I guess last thing to credit the
Okay.
Brewers. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't have them as a playoff team this year. Yeah, they definitely outperformed my expectations of them. Didn't do it with any superstars, as you mentioned, and did it with I think the 22nd highest payroll in baseball as well. Like by all measures, the Cubs probably should have won it this year, but the Brewers were a better team and won that division convincingly. But yeah, American League Cy Young.
Yeah, American League Cy Young, it is what, Scooble, Crochet, and Hunter Brown.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm gonna pick Tarek Skubal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You have the notes, so I'll let you get into it. And I also think he will win it, by the way.
Yeah, right. I'm kind of even as a Red Sox fan, I'm kind of glad that Crochet had a couple clunkers toward the end because we were about to get into a real like you know, ERA versus peripherals battle that I was not prepared
Yeah,
for, where
that you weren't ready for.
I was going to be going against the fan base of that I am part of. I was not ready for that, so I'm glad that didn't happen. I also have Tarek Skubal. He led all American League pitchers in B WAR and F WAR, and he also led all American League qualifiers in ERA, FIP, expected ERA, and strikeout minus walk rate. It's kind of undebatable that of who this American League Cy Young is. And he did it in I think 195 innings. And yeah, like Crochet had, I think, 10 more innings, but the gaps in ERA and FIP are just too wide. And I think that Tarek Skubal will get this award in a pretty convincing fashion. I'm sure he'll get, you know, in the range of 25 to 30 first place votes. Anything more before we get into National League Cy Young?
No. Paul Skeens.
Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
I mean,
Will win it, should win it.
there's the slightest case for Christopher
It's
Sanchez.
I'll have the discussion, but ultimately I'm still gonna land on the guy that had a 197 ERA in 187 and 2/3 innings pitched.
Me as well. Me as
Yeah.
well. But yeah,
With better peripherals.
so yeah, I have Paul Skeens as well. He led all National League pitchers in F WAR, and he led National League qualifiers in ERA, expected ERA, and FIP. And yeah, Christopher Sanchez is not far off, but I think Skeens was better. And maybe if it was like a more most valuable pitcher instance, maybe you could make the case for Sanchez more because he did throw 15 more innings, but Skeens was just the better pitcher, and that's what the NL Cy Young is all about. So yeah, I think that they will vote for Skeens as well. On to the big hot debate. It's
Yeah.
going to resurface again and
American League
probably going to
MVP.
infuriate me to some level because of the arguments of both sides. But American League MVP, who do you have? Who do you think they'll give it to?
Yeah, so I do have Aaron Judge, and I think it will go to Aaron Judge. Cal has the home run argument, he has the positional argument, he has the defensive arguments. I just don't think it's going to be enough to offset the offensive gap between them. Aaron Judge had a 47% better offensive season in regards to weighted runs created plus. He had a 200 weighted runs created plus for the third time in his career. This is something that we shouldn't take for granted. Like, we literally haven't seen this level of offense on a consistent basis over the course of several years since peak Bonds. We haven't seen it from a right-handed hitter. Like, I don't even, like, maybe Sammy Sosa. Not even. This is better than Sosa. I don't even know. We've probably never seen it, but yeah, like, it should still go to Aaron Judge. He had a better slugging by 99 points. He had a better slugging by nearly 100 points. Or yeah, he had a better OPS than Raleigh by 196 points. Like, this isn't a minuscule gap. This is the gap between him and the gap between those two is the gap between Raleigh and a 751 OPS, which was held by let's say a William Contreras. The offensive gap in OPS between Judge and Raleigh was the same between Raleigh and Wilson Contreras. Very kind of fitting, given that was the best catcher in baseball debate before this year. But yeah, like I as much as fun as it would have been to give it to Raleigh this year, as much as I would have loved that, I can't abandon my true beliefs in what makes an MVP. in this case. I'm giving it to Aaron Judge.
Yeah. And I'll preface this. I'm a huge Cal Raleigh guy.
Love Cal Raleigh. Awesome dude.
And I was I've been making his case for multiple years at this point. We've been making his case for multiple years
Yeah.
as a show. But I think Aaron Judge was the most valuable player in baseball this year, or definitely most valuable in the American League. And he led All American League players in B WAR, F WAR, total bases, and batting run value. He also led American League qualifiers in batting average by 20 points, on base percentage by 58 points, slugging by 99 points, OPS by 185 points. That's ridiculous. He led an OPS by 185 points. He led an OPS plus by 46 points. Also put up +5 fielding run value. Obviously, he's playing right field. It's a less defensively valuable position, but no knock on his defense. It's not like he was some sludge out there defensively. He was productive as a right fielder as well this year, which should be noted as well. That's part of my case for him. I think if he was like Castellanos level in right field, I might give it to Raleigh, but Judge was not. And also just kind of comparative to Cal Raleigh, uh, despite Raleigh having more home runs this year, Aaron Judge did have 21 more total bases than Cal Raleigh, and Aaron Judge got on base 57 more times than Cal Raleigh this year. So like more than 2 times on base per week of the season than Cal Raleigh this year. That is very notable. As you mentioned, it's a sizable gap offensively, and that's the gap that's required when you're going against Cal Raleigh. But I think that gap was enough. So I think, Raleigh definitely more defensively valuable with him being behind the plate, with him managing that rotation and going through the everyday grind of being a catcher and not only being a catcher, but being an excellent framer, being an excellent stolen or base runner catcher or guy that gets guys out on the base paths. However, I think the offensive gap is too much. And that's why I think Aaron Judge is the most valuable player. I think it'll be a very close vote. I think it'll be, I would go as, I will predict the exact number. I think Judge will get 17 first place votes and Raleigh will get 13.
I was gonna say over 20.
You're going to say over 20 for
I was
Judge?
a bit more ambitious with my prediction, but yeah, I think it won't be as close as people have made this race out to be throughout the year.
Yeah, I hope it isn't. I hope it isn't. I hope it's not close. But I do think it will be. On to National League MVP. Who do you
Yeah,
have?
shout out to my incredible midseason prediction that Pete Crow Armstrong would hold on. He finished outside the top 10 in National League F4. Yeah. The gap, so I just mentioned the gap between OPS between Judge and Raleigh. There is a 2.3 win gap between Shohei Ohtani and Geraldo Perdomo, who had the second highest F4 in the National League. That is the same as the gap between 2 and 15. Nico Horner, who had 4.8 F4. Obviously, it's Ohtani. It's going to be Ohtani. It should be Ohtani. What were your thoughts on Kyle Schwarber being a finalist?
Not super surprising.
Not surprised, but just I looked at it and I was like, man, like I thought we were better than this.
Yeah, it's the big home run numbers and the big RBI numbers and
Yeah.
um maybe the fact that it wasn't a super strong race outside of Ohtani this year. And like, I guess, looking at the F4 leaderboards, Perdomo and Turner are 2 and 3. And, those are shortstops where like their value certainly gets,
But like, I don't know, Corbin Carroll.
Corbin Carroll should definitely be in the mix.
Like
He had a
like I'm fine
30-30
with
season.
Tatis, Lindor. I'm fine with Soto being a finalist. Like that's whatever. Corbin, come on. We couldn't give Corbin Carroll a top 3 spot over Kyle Schwarber.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I'm trying to like do a little bit of devil's
No,
advocate
Turner and
here.
Perdomo, I
Yeah.
understand why they got overlooked, but like, dude, come on. Like what we're doing. I think
Yeah.
let's see.
it's rough. I agree, it's rough.
Yeah, come
Um,
on.
I would have.
They just went with the top three weighted runs created plus guys
Right.
in the
It's
league.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with the argument you're making. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of it's kind of tough. I'm trying to look at like um some of the things to put against Schwarber. Obviously, he was a DH, but also um like people kind of ooh and ah at the 56 home runs, but in terms of like other extra base hits, he only had 23 doubles. It's not like he was like an extra base hit machine. Just those home run numbers were really, really high.
He had an awesome year. I don't want to discredit Kyle Schwarber.
But yeah, we're talking the standard to be top three in the National League. I don't think he met that. I think he was close, but yeah, I think Corbin Carroll should probably be in there. He had a 30-30 season as a pretty defensively valuable player, or at
Hmm.
least definitely more valuable than Schwarber. But yeah, 30 yeah, he had 30-30 season. He hit or yeah, he was defensively valuable.
Hmm.
Anyway, uh what more do we want to get into with this award?
Do we want to go? I mean, is there really much to say?
I'm
It
I
will be
actually forgot to put
unanimous.
some of the notes down, but like it is crazy because if Otani didn't pitch, he still wins it. That's the crazy part,
Yeah.
considering he did actually pitch.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so um he led all National League position players in F WAR. He led all National League qualifiers in slugging percentage by 59 points. He led all National League qualifiers in OPS by, I believe, 86 points. So a tremendous gap at the plate. And then he also threw 47 innings this year with a sub 3 ERA and sub 2 FIP, which sub 2 FIP is incredibly hard to do over any sample. And he did that in 47 innings. Yeah, it's you know, again, like you said at the beginning of the year, like we cannot let this get lost on us how incredible this is. It's absolutely incredible. The fact that
Hmm.
the best hitter in the National League is also an excellent pitcher. It's unbelievable, and he's going to win it very deservedly so. And it's pretty excellent to see just pure excellence out on the field.
One thing I think I want to go back to this offseason is find some like resurfaced takes on Otani from like the 2017 offseason because like I want to know what people's wildest dreams were and just how much he's exceeded them. Because I remember hearing conversations being like, well, what if he's like, what if he's like a 5-6 hitter in a lineup and he's also like a 2 or 3 starter? Like people have been nobody, even in their wildest dreams, nobody was accurate on how good Otani was going to be in the majors. Nobody.
Yeah,
It's again like I keep saying this. Like, please, I understand the Dodgers hate. Please don't get Otani fatigued. Like, you need to resist it. I know that Ben Verlander makes it very difficult, but you have to appreciate greatness because we will never see this again. Like again, if we ever see another two-way player in the league, they will be underwhelming if they are what people thought Otani could maybe be. A 120 OPS plus bat and a 120 ERA plus pitcher. Like that would be, oh, that's it. That would be people's reaction. Like this is
yeah,
insane. This is ridiculous.
yeah.
And yeah, he's going to win his fourth MVP. Do you think by the end of the decade he ties Bonds?
Um,
That would mean he has to win 3 of the next 4.
I mean, yeah, it's hard not to, especially with him being back pitching.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that workload is only going to increase. The Dodgers were obviously very careful with him this year, and he's still going to win it by a seismic margin. I imagine he's going to win it unanimously. Um, and he only threw 47 innings this year, so it would take either injury or just change in workload, or some like
Some god season, yeah.
Aaron Judge getting traded. I don't
Right,
know.
right.
By the
Yeah.
way, I did want to say, like, especially with how things have turned out, no matter what team, I'm really happy that, especially this time of year, like with the dialogue. I'm really happy that Otani is on a National League team instead of us having to talk about whether Judge
Yeah,
or Otani
yeah,
is
we can
better.
appreciate both of them.
Yes, we can appreciate both of them, and they both get the amount of awards they deserve. Because yeah, like Judge.
I think Judge. I don't know. I don't know. Do you think Judge would have won an MVP if Otani was in the AL and put up that season this year?
Um, yeah, it's a great question. I'm glad we don't have to have that debate.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm glad we didn't have to have it last year either when he didn't pitch, but he had 50-50 and Judge had his best offensive season.
Yeah, it's close. And honestly, there would have been some dialogue in 2024 as well. I know
Correct. Yeah, that's what I
that
said.
the war gap is different, but not everybody looks at
Mhm.
that. But you look at we're talking about a 50-50 season that had never been done before compared to what Judge did, which was also excellent, but that would have been a debate too. So I'm glad we didn't have to do that. But yeah, it makes me happy that Otani's in the National League because he's going to get his fourth MVP. Judge probably should get his third MVP, right? It's his third.
Fourth.
Or oh, wait, Judge's
Judge is third, Otani's fourth.
Otani's fourth and Judge's third. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
But like I said, he would have to win three of the next four to tie Bonds by the end of the decade.
yeah, no, it's interesting for sure. A lot of shout out to the comment section of the Go Debate video as now people are pouring in Otani love, which I understand. But yeah, that's certainly gotten more popular as his pitching workload increased and he had that excellent performance in game 4 of the NLCS. But
And
yeah,
in game three of the World Series.
and
Not pitching, but
right, yeah, game
yeah.
3 of the World Series. Um, but yeah, no, it can't be understated the fact that the best hitter in the National League is also not only a pitcher but an excellent pitcher.
Yeah.
And no matter how many innings he threw, inning per inning, he was one of the best pitchers in the National League as well. It's pretty crazy to think about. Like a sub 2 FIP is very hard to achieve, and he did that while putting
Even
up.
in any stretch of innings.
Yeah, and he did that while putting up an OPS north of 1,000. Ridiculous.
Mhm.
It truly is. So yeah, it like appreciate it while you can, because this is unreal, unimaginable, 10 years ago. So yeah, I mean, so yeah, I guess we could get into the fun part that we're going to introduce to this little thing here. Did you want
Yeah,
to get into
so
what we're doing?
so something that I've always tried to follow during awards season is writers that give essentially like homer votes to their own players. Essentially, guys that get generous award votes that they get from the people that cover them that nobody else gives to them. I have some examples from last year where last year a Texas writer gave Wyatt Langford a second place Rookie of the Year votes. Nobody else gave him a first or second place vote, but the guy that well, it wasn't a guy, but the person who covered him did. A Detroit writer gave AJ Hinch a first place Manager of the Year vote. That was the only person to do so. I'll skim through the list here. There's a Philadelphia writer that gave Kyle Schwarber a seventh place MVP vote. No one else did that. And my favorite one was a St. Louis writer that gave Ryan Helsley a fourth place Cy Young vote. So Chris and I are going to do a draft of Homer award picks that we think will happen. Basically, what we're going for is that for these picks to happen, but really for them to be the only of these votes that they get and the highest vote. So, for example, if I pick, a Nationals writer gives Jake Irvin a second place Cy Young vote, but a St. Louis writer also does that, doesn't really count. Or if I say, that a Milwaukee writer gives Blake Perkins a third place MVP vote, but someone else gives him a second place vote, or even a Milwaukee writer gives him a second place vote. That's not what we're going for. We can look back on this in a week and decide kind of based off of vibes who won. But we are picking 8 of our guesses for Homer Award picks this year. We don't have to snake it. I think we could just do a standard draft. Chris, I will give you the honors of going first.
Oh, I had a coin flip already. Just
Oh, yeah, we can do that too. All right.
yeah, we had computer coin flipper.
All right.
And yeah, we don't have to snake it just for
I
radio purposes, but here we go.
all right.
Since
I'll
you
take.
gave me the choice, I'll go heads here.
All right.
All
It is
right.
heads. All right.
I get first pick.
Beautiful. I
Um,
better close your screen before you show me your draft board.
oh yeah.
All right.
So, um, my first overall pick is a Pete Alonso third place MVP vote.
Okay, from a Mets writer.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to go into like what the thought process would be there?
Oh yeah. I think kind of it sort of makes sense, from the
Mhm.
perspective he had 38 home runs, 126 RBI, kind of a bounce back season for him. He ranked second in the National League in RBI, and I think, a more classic a more classic viewer of baseball is going to value that quite a bit. And to Alonso's credit, I think throughout his career, he's always performed better with runners in scoring position, which if you do it throughout your career, that's not fluky, like some people might argue. But, personally, I wouldn't put him in the top three of National League players this year, but because of the kind of general run production he had, I think a writer might put him third place ahead of his teammates Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor, who I thought were more valuable this year.
Now, is this specifically a third place vote or is it a top three vote?
Um, I guess
Because I mixed and matched. I did some where it's a specific place, or in some where it's like a top X vote.
I'll say um I'll say top three. I don't think it'll be
Okay.
first, but third or second.
No. All right. My first pick is also a Mets one. It is not an MVP pick, however. It is a Mets writer giving Nolan McLean a first place Rookie of the Year
Ooh.
votes. Uh, like we mentioned earlier, the NL Rookie of the Year race is very bleh. There wasn't, a clear standout performer. Nolan McLean made his major league debut on August 16th, and after that he pitched 48 innings, had a 2.06 ERA, and was kind of the only guy consistently showing up in the Mets rotation down the stretch. Um, from the day he made his debut on, he ranked third among NL pitchers in ERA, trailing only Paul Skeens and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And I think a Mets writer will see it as enough for him to get first place, because there's no other clear runaways. And I think if Nolan McLean had done what he'd done over a longer sample, then he would be a pretty clear Rookie of the Year votes. Obviously, he's not a finalist, and I don't think he should win, but I think there might be a Mets writer that makes that case.
Yeah, yeah. With that race being as much of a wash as it is, yeah, we could see some surprises like that, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Um, My second pick is going to be Andrew Abbott getting a second place Cy Young vote. Um, Andrew Abbott had a very good year this year, a career year, I would say. He he threw a career high 166 in the third innings pitch, had a 2.87 ERA, a 3.66 FIP that I'm going to ignore for this one because I'm sure a lot of people will ignore that. But most notably, a 159 ERA plus, and maybe the writer won't look at the ERA plus specifically, but they'll look at a guy who qualified for the ERA title, had a sub 3 ERA at Great American Ballpark, and be like, you know what? That's a top two pitcher in the National League if I've ever seen one. So I think we'll see that because people obviously know how hard it is to pitch at Great American. I personally wouldn't make that pick because I'm looking more at, I would look more at the peripherals and whatnot, but that's me. That's not every single voter. So I have Andrew Abbott getting the second place National League Cy Young vote.
This was that was literally the next thing on my board.
Okay.
So
Uh,
mine was top three, but I'm gonna cancel that one out. But yeah, that's I had that exact take. Well, not the exact, but same idea. Now that we've intercepted on one, I'm just gonna steal one that I think you might have. I have a Miami writer giving Clayton McCullough a first place manager of the year vote.
all
We
right.
mentioned it earlier. We talked about it. Clearly, he's not a finalist. I think my biggest worry is that someone else outside of Miami might also do this, because I think there is a genuine reason to do this. It would be my pick. It would be your pick as well. but I can't risk having you take this one because you took my last one. So I'm gonna just go ahead and swipe this one earlier than I initially thought I would.
No, yeah, that's pretty fair. That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Um, um, I what'll be next for me? I'll have I'll change it. It won't be second place, but I'll have Freddie Peralta third place Cy Young vote.
Okay.
He had a 2.70 ERA and he struck out over 200 batters. And if you're looking at those specific numbers, he was one of the better pitchers in the league in those specific categories. If you're just looking at ERA and strikeouts, typical things that typical starting points that you look at for a National League starter. He ranked fourth in the National League in earned run average. And in terms of strikeouts, I'm trying to see where he ranked. He ranked sixth in strikeouts, and also was kind of, he was at the head of the rotation um, for the best team record wise in baseball this year. So I figure maybe that's a possibility for a Brewers writer to do. Who's your third pick?
Yeah, so for my third pick, I'm going into the American League MVP race. I have an athletics writer giving Nick Kurtz a third place MVP vote. Nick Kurtz will win Rookie of the Year. He will get MVP votes. I don't think he's going to get a top two pick from any writer because I think those will pretty comfortably all go to Judge and Raleigh. I think there will be a bold athletics writer out there that says, you know what, he didn't play the whole season, but when he was on the field, he was just about the best hitter in the league. And for that reason, with his like 446 plate appearances or whatever it was, I think third place is in range for a home writer to give him. So, yeah, I think it's not a question of whether he will get MVP votes. I think that's pretty clearly going to happen. I think the most ambitious of them will be a third place vote from an A's writer.
Right, right. I'm gonna stick in Milwaukee,
Oh,
and I'm gonna say this is a weird number to put it at, but I'll say Christian Yelich gets a top six MVP vote. He drove in over 100 runs this year, that he ranked fourth in the National League in runs batted in. And he was kind of you could argue the most productive offensive player on the team that ended up having the best record in baseball. So I think I think a Brewers writer or any writer could give him some love as a
well, it
top
has to be it
six.
has to be a Brewers writer
Yeah, okay, Brewers
for at
writer.
least for that high for sixth place or higher, right?
Yeah, top six is
Hmm.
what I'm going to say for
All
Christian
right.
Yelich. I'm not bold enough to go top five, but I think top six is a strong possibility for Christian Yelich in the MVP race.
All right. I also have a Milwaukee one that I'm going to use here, and I'm glad you didn't take this one because I think this is one of my more out of left field ones. I have a Milwaukee writer giving Andrew Vaughn an MVP vote.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Andrew
like that
Vaughn,
one.
yeah, Andrew Vaughn played 64 games in the National League for the Brewers. Obviously, he was a huge bat for them. He had a 141 OPS plus and just 254 plate appearances. Um, I could see it as like a 10th place throw-in vote. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Where it's like, he should be recognized for what he did because he was for a long stretch, he was the best hitter on the Brewers, and even for maybe a month or so, the best hitter in the National League. Um, as I mentioned earlier, this was a team that kind of lacked a star hitter, and Andrew Vaughn was that for some period of time. I don't think it will be a high MVP vote, but I think it will be an MVP vote somewhere, and I think it will come from a Milwaukee writer.
Yeah, yeah, understood. Um, I'll go with one. I was looking at numbers and this guy kind of popped out, and I wasn't really keeping track of him this season, but ended up putting up a really good ERA. I think a Rangers writer will put Cole Winn in the top four of his American League or of their American League Rookie
I like
of
that
the
one a
Year
lot.
vote. Cole Winn, if you aren't familiar, I wasn't really familiar. Um, he had a 1.51 ERA and 41 and two-thirds innings pitched as a reliever for the Rangers this year. He had a 3.90 FIP, but who really cares about that? He had a 1.51 ERA, and I think a Rangers writer will put him down um for top four in rookie of the year.
Okay.
Um, who's your next pick?
All right. I'm gonna go with another reliever pick. Not for rookie of the year though. I have a Boston writer giving Aroldis Chapman a Cy Young vote. Like Andrew Vaughn, this is just anywhere on the ballot. Doesn't have to be one, could be five, or however many you vote for Rookie of the Year. And I think this will. I think Aroldis Chapman will get Cy Young vote shares from one writer, and it will be, or maybe two writers, and it's two Boston writers. I think we can count that too, right? If multiple writers from the same region vote for their guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think
yeah.
Aroldis Chapman had, I think was probably the best reliever in the league this season. It's not uncommon for relievers to, get some kind of Cy Young vote shares. We saw it, like I said, with Ryan Helsley last year, and I think this is the version of it we'll see this year with Aroldis Chapman with his, what was it, 117 ERA this year or something like that.
Absolutely correct. I that was one that was on my board. That was probably
Oh,
going to be my next pick.
nice.
Um, my next guy is a Miami writer going with Ronnie Enriquez with a
Nice.
general rookie of the year vote. They have five slots for that, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so a top five slot, which just means getting on the board. He threw 73 innings as a reliever this year, put up a 2.22 ERA. Honestly, this could justifiably be deserved. I don't even know if it would be that hot of a take, but I think a Miami writer will have will place Ronnie Enriquez down as a rookie of the year um vote getter. I don't even know if that would be if it's that hot of a take, but that was one of the more out of left field ones I could think of in
Mhm.
the National League Rookie of the Year vote. What are we on to? Round
Six.
well, we're still on round six. Yeah.
Yeah. My sixth pick. This is a Kansas City Royals writer giving Noah Cameron a top five Cy Young vote. Noah Cameron was a rookie this year. I'm not even going rookie of the year, by the way. I'm going Cy Young.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, even crazier. Yeah, Noah Cameron came from kind of nowhere this year at age 25 and put up a 2.99 ERA in 138 and a third innings. Um, yeah, I feel pretty comfortable thinking that if there's a top five Cy Young pick, it will only come from one person and it will only be a Kansas City writer. Definitely a bold one for sure. Um, by the way, these picks don't mean these are picks we would make. It's just what we think, the hometown writers will do. I think there is some kind of ambition for Noah Cameron, and I think he'll get a top five. Yes, Cy Young and not Rookie of the Year to clarify here.
yeah. And one last thing to clarify, we don't know who's going to be voting on this, and
No, we
I don't
don't.
mean to disparage the character of anyone who who
But
may be
these
voting.
votes happen every year. Like it is
Yes,
like
yes.
I named four examples from last year. There are plenty more that I have on my list of examples from last year.
Yeah, but to clarify, we're not thinking of any one specific writer who might have this take.
No,
It's just in
no.
general, this might happen based on how these
Mhm.
things go. So with my seventh round pick, I will take Craig Counsell gets a top two manager of the year vote. Um,
Cubs writer.
I could see a Cubs writer being like, well, they didn't win the division,
Mhm.
but they improved their win total by 9 games. And, with a depleted pitching staff, they seemed to manage and they had one of the better records in the National League. I could see a top two vote um, for Craig Counsell. And yeah, I wouldn't agree with it, but I wouldn't necessarily hate on it that much, to be honest. But yeah, who's your seventh round pick?
Yeah, my seventh round pick. I'm staying with the Cubs. Doing another third place MVP vote. I think there will be a Kyle Tucker third place MVP vote from a Cubs writer. Kyle Tucker will get MVP votes. I don't think he's going to be first or second on any ballots. I'm sure he'll get sprinkled in like the fifth, sixth, seventh place. But I think there will be one ambitious Cubs writer that throws out a third place vote for, one of the better offensive seasons that we've seen from a Cubs hitter in a while. Like, this team got to the playoffs for the first time in a full season since 2018. They won a playoff series. Well, I mean, this wasn't taken account for when they voted, but they won a playoff series for the first time since 2017. And Kyle Tucker, had a very good overall season. Yeah, I mean, almost 600 plate appearances, a 143 OPS plus. Um, and yeah, I think there will be a third place vote out there for him.
No, that's totally fair. He had a great season. I'm stalling and getting more information for before I make my
Okay.
next pick. Um, and you could veto this because like this wouldn't be shocking if it happened, but it's like in our world, it's not something we would ever do. But um, I'm thinking about a Luis Arraez 10th place National League MVP vote.
No, I think that's fair
And you know, he
from a
ranked
Padres writer,
from a
obviously.
Padres writer, Luis Arraez ranked 210th in the National League in F4 this year, among all players, position players, and pitchers. He ranked 210th, but he led all of baseball in hits. So there's that. And I think there's going to be one person that's going to be like, I mean, you can't leave the league leader in hits off the MVP ballot. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's so bad. He did his job. He was the best at doing his job. So yeah, I think someone will sprinkle in a Luis Arraez 10th place MVP vote.
All right. So for my final pick, I specifically slotted this one in for last because I absolutely knew it wouldn't get taken. Uh, this is easily my most out of left field pick. I'm going to let you fill in the blank, Chris. I have a White Sox writer giving a general Rookie of the Year vote to
Um, Shane Smith.
no,
Wait, gosh, golly, the White Sox
yeah,
so
had a lot
long
of good
ago.
rookies this year.
Did a lot of good rookies. Kyle Teal,
No,
Colson Montgomery.
no.
Um,
I'll
golly.
give you one more guess.
Um, who is out there rookieing for the Chicago White Sox?
There are a couple guys that you're missing. One of them plays the same position as Kyle Teal. One of them was a part of the Garrett Crochet trade.
Oh, Chase Mydroth.
No, I'm talking about Mike Vassell as my
Okay.
general Rookie of the Year pick. Mike Vassell finished the 2024 season in the Mets organization, and he played the entirety of 2025 with the White Sox. The Mets was 3 organizations ago for him. He was taken in the Rule 5 draft by the Phillies, and within an hour of the draft ending, was traded to the Rays, where he was then DFA'd going into spring training and picked up by the White Sox. He then went on to pitch 101 innings this year to the tune of a 250 ERA. Don't worry about the FIP, but a 250 ERA in 101 innings pitched as a rookie that was taken in the Rule 5 draft, traded within an hour of said draft, and DFA'd in spring training. Pretty cool story for him this year. And you know what? I think there's a White Sox writer that's going to recognize that and be like, you know what? He got some big outs out of the bullpen for this team this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop a Rookie of the Year vote for old Mike Vassell. And yeah, that is my final pick. Do we want to go through our picks?
Yeah, sure, sure.
I'll let you go
Um,
first.
so yeah, my first pick was Pete Alonso, third place or top three MVP vote.
All right, I had a Nolan McLean first place Rookie of the Year vote.
Or wait, yeah, I should have gone through the whole thing.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were doing that, then you paused. So I'll just let you go ahead.
And then the rest, Andrew Abbott, second place Cy Young vote, second place Cy Young vote. Freddie Peralta, top three Cy Young vote. Christian Yelich, top six MVP vote. Cole Winn, top four AL Rookie of the Year vote. Ronnie Enriquez, NL Rookie of the Year vote. Luis Arise, general NL MVP vote, and Craig Counsell, second place or top two manager of the year vote.
Yes. And then was that the order? I feel like was Craig Counsell the last one?
No, Luis Arise was the last one.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
had it on the board
Gotcha. Yeah,
Arise before him.
I did too. So I had Nolan McLean, first place rookie of the year vote, Clayton McCullough, first place manager of the year vote, Nick Kurtz, third place MVP votes, Andrew Vaughn, general MVP vote, Aroldis Chapman, general Cy Young vote, Noah Cameron, top 5 Cy Young vote, Kyle Tucker, third place MVP vote, and Mike Vassell, general rookie of the year vote. And that is our board. We will see what happens over the course of this week. Tomorrow I have 2 of my picks getting revealed. How about you?
I think I have 2 of mine as well. I got
All right.
Colwyn and
Yeah.
Ronnie Enriquez. So
Yep, McLean and Vassell tomorrow.
exciting stuff.
This is awesome. I'm so excited to look
Yeah.
back. I hope both of us get at least one right.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I would imagine these are very difficult to predict.
Yeah. You never know what's going on in people's brains. The the Luis Arise one will certainly piss me off, but I think it might have the highest likelihood.
See, now it gives you a reason to be happy about it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right.
So it's a win.
It's the
It's a
bettor's
win-win.
mindset. You bet against the rival team, so
So it's a win-win.
so you end up happy in some situation.
Actually, no, it's not a win-win because a Miami writer could do it and it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. Well, yeah, anyway. Anything more before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. Thank you guys for following along for what, year 7 of ARR, technically? You full year 6, general year 7?
I don't want to give us credit for 7 years, but
Yeah.
it was
7 postseasons.
Yeah, it was definitely our 7th postseason.
No doubt about that.
It was our 6th. It was our 6th full season. We're gonna count 2020.
Yeah.
It was our 6th full season. Because even during 2020, we were pumping out content. We were talking about Sandy Koufax and the 1990 Blue Jays and all that stuff. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed this one. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and want to watch the conversation as it happens, go to the YouTube channel. It's called Above Replacement Radio. Feel free to check out the archives and the guest interviews playlist where we've talked to Jeff Passan, Chris Rose, Matt Brash of the Seattle Mariners, Sarah Langs, Mike Petriello, Foolish Bailey, among many others. And go to the Above Replacement Radio YouTube channel. It's all in one place. On the guest interviews playlist. Follow us on social media. Follow me on Twitter @Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram @Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram @Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time where we will be talking all the happenings, where we will be doing custom awards, and maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
hits and flops.
Yes, we will see you then.
This conversation is over.